You need three things: communication, genuine desire, and vision. And let me actually rework that order. We're going to start off with talking about genuine desire. Are you actually willing and able to be in a committed relationship? Whether it's long distance, mid distance, short distance, y'all live in the same crib, y'all live in the same city, same state, same country. It don't matter if you don't actually want to be in a real committed relationship. Straight up and down. Are you genuinely willing and able? Because if there's any inkling of, I don't really like this person like that. I don't really feel the need to be with them at all. Whether it's we're 3 hours away from each other, we're three countries away from each other, we're 3 minutes away from each other. If you don't like the person, you don't like the person. Keep it pushing, because you're wasting your time and everybody else's time involved. Are you genuinely willing and able? Ask yourself that question. Do you actually like this person, or are you just in a situationship? Are you just with this person because it's convenient, because they can cuddle with you when it's cold outside? Just be abundantly clear. Be real about it. Are you just with this person because it seems like the right thing to do because of peer pressure? And when I say peer pressure, I mean pressure from your friends and family to be in a committed relationship at this stage of your life. Are you with this person because you like this person? Or are you with this person because of other people? Ask yourself that question, because I promise you, if you don't like the person when y'all are together in the same city, you, you're not gonna like them, especially when they're gone, because it'll be a task. It'll be something that you genuinely are like, I'm dragging. I don't really want to text my significant other. They feeling real insignificant right now, and that's a harsh truth to reconcile. But if it's not gonna work, it's not gonna work. I don't care how much distance there is between you and whomever. So, is there a genuine desire? Do you genuinely want to spend the rest of your life together? Because ideally, if you're in a relationship, if this is your aim to eventually marry this person, then with the long term in mind, you're looking to withstand some of the rough spots, some of the conflicts, some of the trials that may come with being in a relationship at all, and then being in a long distance relationship. Like, do y'all want to? Do you want to? Is you ain't or is you ain't my baby? Like that's the question you got to really ask yourself. Next thing being communication. So when y'all are actually apart from each other, communication takes an entirely different form. I'm gonna pause you right there, because everything I'm talking about is from lived experience. I met my now wife back in 2016. We started dating in May 2016, and then we went long distance 2017 to 2020. She lived in Washington State on the West Coast, while I was in between Maryland and North Carolina on the East Coast for 3 years. And then we got married in 2023. So long distance dating can work if you actually want it to work, which goes back to piece of advice number one. Do you really want it? Do y'all both want it? Are y'all aligned in wanting it for real? If not, cool. Keep it pushing. As long as y'all are aligned and intentional about what happens, then things can flow. Good communication facilitates. facilitates. Good communication facilitates the flow. And when I say communication, I don't just mean just texting and phone calls and video calls. I don't just mean the actual task, the actual act of speaking to each other or saying words in each other's direction. I mean honest, vulnerable, intentional communication where you're talking about your emotional state. You're talking about the past and how it informs the present. You're talking about each other's dreams, each other's fears. You're sharing more than what you would share with someone while you're in the line at the DMV. Because a whole bunch of small talk is going to make for a shallow relationship. I don't care what the distance is, but especially when it's long distance, where physical touch is no longer an option. Quality time through virtual interaction becomes a really big deal. Words of affirmation also becomes a really big deal because I can't give you a hug, but I can give you a virtual hug through the words that I share, through my affection, through my building of an emotional foundation. But you got to be intentional about that. When it comes to how often y'all talk on the phone, how often y'all FaceTime, how often y'all text each other, how often you communicate is a real thing. That is a quantifiable metric to understand the health and the status of your relationship when long distance. But what are y'all talking about when y'all talk? I'm speaking specifically to the men who may or may not be watching this, but they may be overhearing it from someone who else is watching it. I really want to press men, specifically cisgender heterosexual men, to be way more open and communicative with their girlfriends. And I'm speaking about it from a dating standpoint. A lot of what I'm speaking can apply to long distance marriages, but by the time you get to marriage, there's a couple of steps and stuff that you've navigated to get to a more solidified relationship, ideally. That's not the case all the time either. But I'm going to focus on dating and even courtship with long distance in mind. With men, we don't be talking about our feelings enough. We don't cry enough. We don't share our fears. We don't share our misgivings. We don't share the things that make us upset, not to the point of anger and want to lash out with physical violence, but to the point of that hurt my feelings. That was psychologically jarring. I don't know what's going on in the pit of my stomach, but that made me feel some type of way. And sharing that openly and honestly and vulnerably. When you can do that in a long distance relationship, specifically men opening up to their girlfriends, it changes the game because you're doing something that quite literally a lot of women have never experienced in daily life, whether they have brothers, their dads, their uncles, their cousins, the other men in their lives that are in their social sphere, and then also in TV and movies and books. But when you actually communicate effectively and you keep things fresh, you keep things genuine, you keep things deep, like there's this high level and deep conversations that can mix about, but the point is being honest, vulnerable, and intentional about how you communicate with your girlfriend. Like this is specifically to men. I can also talk about it with women as well, where if you are lacking that from your boyfriend, there's an element of you being honest, vulnerable, and transparent about what you need from him because he's not going to know unless you share. Unfortunately, there's the common trope that if he wanted to, he would, or he should just know. He should just be able to read my mind. He should just understand how I feel without me having to communicate how I feel. You see how am nobody's a mind reader. None of us can read each other's minds. So without the communication and being abundantly clear about expectations, about deep-seated feelings and beliefs, the things that are deep in our belly, and it's like, I have a bad feeling about this, or I have a good feeling about this. Share it. We gotta share it. We gotta share. It's a must, especially when it's long distance, because there's so much that is left to the imagination when the other person is not immediately within arm's reach. So, third thing being vision. After you decide you actually want to date long distance, and then you get to the point of now we're in it and we actually have to navigate our interactions virtually or over the phone, then you got to think about the short term and the long term vision of how this is going to play out. Short term vision being how often are we going to visit each other? How often and how possible is it for us to visit each other where you go to them or they come to you, whatever the situation is? You got to think about finances, you got to think about time, you got to think about um, occupational responsibilities, if there are children involved. There's a whole bunch of logistics to lay out, but being intentional about that. And then there's the long term vision. How long are we really going to be long distance? How much is enough? What are the chess pieces that we're moving around now that will set us up to be back together again in the same city, or at least the same state, same side of the country, same side of the world? I don't know your circumstances, but the long term vision where both people need to be aligned and actively working on what they can control to get back together again in the same physical space. When I think about those three things, they work together for any given relationship, whether it's romantic, platonic, family, business, all of those come together in a very special way for long distance romantic relationships. And if you're watching this, ideally, those three specific things, if they weren't on your mind at first, they are now on your mind. And if you were already kind of moving with these three things in mind, let this be reinforcement that, yeah, these are three key focus areas that will help with your relationship when y'all are miles apart, thousands of miles apart, countries apart, time zones apart. Yeah, I would love to see what people who are navigating long distance relationships, what do you have to navigate currently? Like what season are you in? How are you approaching different pieces of conflict or different challenges that go along with just being in a relationship as it holds, uh, as being in a relationship as it stands, but then seeing what that holds in the long distance context. In the comment section, I'm curious about what y'all are thinking about. But this is something that I and my wife, we were actually extremely thankful for our long distance time, because it truthfully taught both of us how to show up for each other in non-physical ways. And it taught us about how to understand the other person emotionally and psychologically, and how to be affectionate and how to be supportive, even when you can't actually pull up. I can't actually show up with a bouquet of flowers at the front door, but I can have flowers sent to her front door. So it taught us about how to be creative with staying connected and building our relationship. And it was very intriguing because our relationship started in person. We were in person for a year. We were at the same university, University of Maryland College Park, go Terps. We started off in undergrad together. I was a sophomore, she was a junior. And then by the time she graduates, she heads on out to the other side of the country. 3 hour time difference. And the one thing that I can distinctly remember, we were in her apartment and she gave me the news that she was gonna have to move across the country. And I said, okay, that doesn't change anything about our relationship. Like we can do long distance. Like I'm 100% down for that. I'm willing to do this because I I genuinely want to do it. I genuinely want to be your boyfriend. So we did it. Not saying that it was easy all the time, but it was worth it. I was I I 100% was. I want to continue dating you. Distance is not a limiting factor. So it all started because we very easily could have been like, that's crazy. You gone? Well, I guess there's no more us. It very easily could have gone that way. And if it did, I wouldn't be married. I wouldn't be making this video right now. So there are a bunch of keystone decisions that lead to dating long distance. And at the bare bones of it, make sure the decisions that are made, there's alignment and there's clear intentions. Everything else will fall into place. Everything else, if it's coming from a genuine place, a productive place where both of you are trying to grow together and grow as individuals to come together as a stronger collective, you're gonna win. You're gonna win. So definitely rooting for you if you're in your long distance relationship. Definitely praying for you if you're about to enter into that moment of your relationship. But just know that it's possible. And if I had a nickel for every time someone said to me, "Are you long distance? You better than me. Couldn't be me." I would have $1. People have said it to me often. And it's like, okay, well, you're not me and I'm not you. So I'm gonna continue with my committed relationship. We're gonna be over here making it work because we actually want to. So good talk, but also don't care because even when you do have pushback from other people in your sphere of influence, like why y'all long distance? That don't never work. And no, it'll never work for you because you don't want to. So that don't let people project their insecurities and their anxieties onto you. Please. You and your partner, y'all are in control of your relationship. If you're watching this, you made it this far, just know you're doing good. You're doing the best that you can. You're working you're working well within the means and the information that you have. You will come out on the other side stronger, better, as long as you're putting forth the effort. So, thanks for watching.